All right. So Amanda, you're always the best at sharing out that link after I do. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. If you see anyone pop in, if you wouldn't mind just sharing it out, so that way everyone gets credit for being here today. So welcome everyone. We are going to be talking today about Google Meet and the updates that have happened since the last time I held a PD session over Google Meet. There's been quite a few things that have been added, little things that you may have missed, and big things that you probably didn't miss but need a little bit more information on. And so we're going to cover most of those things today. Just so we make it clear, I did provide a link on, I believe on Friday, that goes over all of the bigger features that have been added into Meet. So if you don't get enough today, feel free to go back to that video that I sent out on Friday, and it's going to have a lot more information for you. But I wanted to give everyone a chance to kind of see it on the kids side of things, on what this is going to look like for your kids, and then how you do it whenever you go through your sessions. So today on the agenda, we are going to go over the minor updates first. Grid size, background blur that you may have seen, may have missed. We're going to talk really quickly about Jamboard integration. I am not going to set up a Jamboard. We're not going to do one together today. Anita last week during her session, she did a Jamboard, a full Jamboard training. So she and she has that provided inside. Sorry, my phone's ringing. She has that provided inside of the Cavern Crusade for you to go back and take a look at. So I would recommend starting there if you wanted more information over the Jamboard. We're going to do the Q&A. We're going to take a look at what that looks like on the kids side as well as on the teacher side. We're going to do some polls, and then I'm going to put you in some breakout rooms and just to kind of show you how it's done and what happens along the way. Okay. So the first thing that I didn't have on the agenda, but I do want to cover is some kind of just troubleshooting of, let's say you are not seeing the same information that we are. I'm sharing my screen right now, and I'm going to get rid of this. Up at the top right, you should now see quite a few different buttons, and you have the People tab that's going to show everyone inside the Meet, the Chat with Everyone, and then the Activities button. And this is where the bulk of the new items are being kept. If this button, this Activities button, is not there for you, then shoot me an email if you don't mind. That way we have your name. There is an issue right now with a few staff members in the district. We know what the issue is, and we will hopefully get that solved as quickly as we can. But if you are not seeing this, it's not your fault. It's on our end, and so just shoot me an email so we're kind of aware that it is affecting you. We've gotten a few emails here and there. It seems to be happening more at CIS and at Ocotillo than anywhere else. Anyways, so if you're not seeing it, shoot me an email, and we'll get that squared away as best we can. The second issue that you might run into is that maybe you click on the moderator tools, or you click on the activities button, and for example you go into Q&A, but you don't see this button. And whenever you go into your breakout rooms, you don't see all of this. You don't see the ability to actually create these breakout rooms. That is most likely because you are not the moderator, the official owner of that Meet. And this happens in classrooms where there's a main teacher and then an IA or a secondary teacher that is also included inside of that Meet. So if that is happening, the second person who is in that session with you will probably have to do that we'll have to do those things on your behalf for that time. And then the second thing that you could do is completely reset your Google Meet link. So if you completely reset your Google Meet link, get a brand new URL, what seems to the fix around it is basically you have to be the first person inside of the Meet as a teacher, and it should work out for you. I say should because I think we have run into a few where it says that the IA came in a few minutes later, and it was and they were the owner of the meet, and I don't know why that might be the case. I don't know if the IA went in first and then it was waiting and didn't actually get into the meet, or whatever the case is. But I think the way to get around that is to go into your Google Classroom and reset that meet link, join it. You be the first person to join it, and then share that out. So. Those are the troubleshooting tips that I can kind of tell you about if you are not seeing what you should be seeing, but we'll go into a little bit more detail as we go throughout. So the first couple things that I did want to show you is there are a few different features here that have been added inside of the 3-dot menu. So on the 3-dot menu, you do have the opportunity to open a whiteboard, open a jam session, and we'll click on that here in 1 second. And then there's also an opportunity here, and I'm going to click on my change layout button right here, and the change layout button is going to allow now for more tiles to fit on the screen. So the default, and it seems the default will always stick around 16, I believe, and you can tweak this as much as you want. You can see the boxes moving and go from there. If you put it on auto, if you put it on any of these, they do different things, and most of this isn't new. So if you put it on the sidebar, then they'll only appear in the sidebar, but then you lose the opportunity to show more people at a time. Spotlight will only show one person, and so if you want everything just focused on the screen sharing that you're doing or something, then you can do that. But a lot of people do like the tiled section because they can see everyone inside the meet while they're presenting and going from there. And you can now bump this up to 49 people at one time. And so if you have more than 49 people in one meet at a time, then wow, you are a rock star, is what I have to say first. But you couldn't fit any more beyond that. So that 49 is the best we can do right there. Then the auto is going to try to make it fit the absolute best that it can, and so I don't know if you have it set to 16 and you've got 25 people in there. I'm not sure exactly what the auto will do. It might go back and forth. It might just depend on how many cameras are on during that time. If there's only a few cameras on, it might not show too many people. What I usually do is I leave it at tiled and I bump it, to as many people as I need to see for the cameras that are on there. So that's one of the features that got added that didn't really not much pomp and circumstance that came with that. It was added kind of behind the scenes. Let me click on my settings here and show that inside of the settings, there's now also some host controls. And some of this was here before. Some of it got added along the way, but I did want to highlight it. You have the same audio settings that are on here. They have added this noise cancellation. I haven't messed with that too much, but it does what it says it should do. The video, it hasn't really changed along the way. And then there is some host controls that allow people to either share their screens or not share their screens. And you can also turn off chat if you feel like chat is becoming a distraction inside of your Hangout or your Meet. Then turn that off, and you can always turn it back on as you go through. These chat moderation tools are also, you can see them in the People tab. So if I go into the People tab, I can also see the host controls here. So you can get to them in a couple different ways. And I think also you can actually also get to the host controls by clicking on the lock button that's on the bottom left over here. So there's quite a few different ways for you to be able to get to those host controls. They have also added the feature where you can blur your background, although I'm not seeing it right here. Maybe I'm missing it, and I know it was an option whenever you first come into the Meet. You can blur your background. I know the button was here at one point, but unfortunately I am not seeing it. So if I'm not seeing it for a reason, I apologize. But that's where it has been kept prior to that. But I know that this is something you can do on your way inside of the Meet. You can blur your background. I'm going to, as I said, really quick, a Jamboard. What is a Jamboard? It is, I'm going to go ahead and click on it, and I'm going to start a new whiteboard. What it is it's an interactive whiteboard that you can give access to and do some collaborative features. Now, with 42 people on here, I'm going to go ahead and share it with all of you. But you can set it to view only, but you can also let, as you send it out, you can also have it to where they can edit it. Now, there's no restriction. So if you edit it and they're drawing interesting pictures along the way, there's really nothing that you can do. So mind you, you probably do want to be careful with this. But I'm going to go ahead and just do view access here and send it out. And inside of the chat, I believe, yes, inside of the chat, it has said that I have shared a jam file with the meeting, and it also opened up a separate window with the Jamboard inside of it. So I can, let's see how, here we go. I can make a little smiley face. If I had a better, I'm sure, how many times have you guys said that this year? If I had a better computer, I could probably do a lot more than this. It's kind of the same thing. So so you can draw on this. It's an interactive whiteboard. It is not the best thing in the world. They added it as an option. You can do some really, really cool stuff with it, but I think there's some tools out there that might be a little bit better than this, especially if you're hoping for some more collaborative. And while I'm talking about that, I'll go ahead and say whiteboard.fi is my favorite thing. I can't change the URL there, so I'm going to come over here. Whiteboard.fi is my favorite whiteboard tool. So instead of using Jamboard, you might think of using this instead. I'll go ahead and do this since we're here. So I'm going to create a new class. I'm going to name it Digital Learning Team for 1021 and create the class. And I'm going to copy this and put it inside of the chat. So if you want to join me, there is the link. While I'm looking over here, while you guys are getting over there, I see Terry's comment that the blur background is available for everyone else's, or at least for hers. So yeah, it very might well be the case that I can't see it whenever I'm presenting. So who knows, and it might not be there for who knows how many different reasons. But so thank you, Terry, for letting me know. So I love whiteboard.fi because you can see the screens of the people who, as they get in there. So you can see from one spot who has done what, and it creates their your own whiteboard. Each student gets their own whiteboard created for them, and so we're not left to wonder who did what along the way. And you can see pictures being added. You can see people drawing smiley faces. You can see if people have left even though they signed in. You can see quite a few things all from this one spot. What I also like about this is if I do, for example, a math problem, let's do 3 + 4 equals, I'm gonna really challenge you guys today. I can push this out to students and it will show up on their screen. So I can it's like the old whiteboards that you would have them hold up inside of your math class whenever you were if you ever did that inside a class. I loved doing it, and this is kind of a step even in a better direction, because you can push out those questions instead of having them write it themselves. So whiteboard.fi to me is a better tool than Jamboard, even though Jamboard is built in and it does some of that stuff. I really like this other tool a lot better. So sorry for the tangent and getting away from Google Meet, but there you go.
Stephen?
Yes.
Do you do that whiteboard.fi like you have to be presenting to do it?
You do not. So you can just share the link and actually have it available. So I'm presenting, and so you can see everything that's on my screen. But if I were to turn off my presenting, it doesn't affect anything in any way. Everyone can still be on whiteboard.fi. I can still interact, so I can still push out another question along the way or whatever the case is. So there's no connection whatsoever from Google Meet to the whiteboard.fi.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. One more thing that I like about Whiteboard FI, and it's been a while since I've done it, so I'm having a look around here. When you're ready to finish the room, you can save all the whiteboards as PDFs, so you can see the work that they've done and keep track of stuff along the way. You can also clear the whiteboard. So if you've done some work, instead of relying on the students to go through and erase everything, you can just click that button, and in one click everything goes away. So I'm going to go ahead and close that room, and they do say that there is a limit. I believe the limit is 50 inside of the room. They say it doesn't break if you can actually have more, but it just gets a little bit wonky with too many people inside of there. So, all right. Can the students see each other's answers? Not on whiteboard.fi. On Jamboard, yes. And so, yeah, it's just kind of something to keep in mind there. All right. So I think. I can see what's the question that did I miss a question? I'm sorry. Yeah, I like it a lot better in Jamboard too.
Sorry, there's going to be feedback because Kevin's next to me. So I'm on Kevin's board. So can students see other students' answers? And I answered for Jamboard. I don't know about the whiteboard.
Yeah, Jamboard, yes. Whiteboard, no. So Whiteboard, they're going to have their own. Now you can actually, I believe there's a way to copy it. Don't quote me on that. And I don't want to spend too much more time on it, but I believe there's a way to copy other students' boards and send those out. I'm just not 100% sure. I think the way you do that is you copy the student board to the teacher board and then push the teacher board out to the student board. But that's only on the whiteboard.fi. On Jamboard, what you see is what you get. You can add additional pages. You can tell people in the chat, like, hey, you're going to have page 2. That would kind of be a way to do it, but they can always go back and forth. They can write on other people's Jamboard pages and so forth. So quite a few limits inside of Jamboard. It's a good idea. It's a good start, but there are better tools available to us now. So yes. So whiteboard.fi is completely separate from Jamboard, and you cannot start whiteboard.fi from inside of Google Meet. It is just available as a separate, and I will go ahead and share the link to whiteboard.fi inside of the chat, just so you can check it out on the teacher side if you get a few extra minutes. Okay. So going on to the next little bit, those are all the little updates that have come across. Just being able to add more things to your screen, being able to add background. You have some host controls. You can turn off chat. You can make it to where only you as the presenter are able to present. If you have a student who's constantly trying to share their screen, you can turn that off and only turn it on whenever you're ready for that. But anyways, so the next little bit of features, I'm going to close this out, and one more time on the top right of your page, you should see the activities button, and you can click on that as well. As a student, students have the opportunity to see that. They just don't have the opportunity. You won't have the opportunity to actually start these things. So the first thing I'm going to do is start off in the Q&A, and because this is probably something you're going to want to turn on at the beginning of each class period, after you've kind of gone over the rules of what the Q&A is. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it on. And this is going to be something that as I do my PD sessions moving forward, I'm going to be turning this on from the very beginning. So that if you have a question that comes up that you need answered, putting it here is probably going to be a better spot than putting it inside of the chat. Now, you're going to have to go over the ground rules, obviously, and let people know. So I'll let you know to please, if you have any more questions from here on, go ahead and put them in the Q&A, and then we'll use the chat for me sharing out any links. Or if you just want to chat with someone else as the questions come up, and this would be a great place for that. But if you have a question that I need to address for sure, because it's something that goes over the functionality of Google Meet or something like that, then please put the question inside of the Q&A section. And if I could have maybe anyone with a webcam that is on. So I'm looking at Leslie, Lisa, Brenda, and Cheryl. Just put a question of some sort. It doesn't have to be related to anything. You know, how tall are you? Just anything that so that we can see these questions as they come in. There we go. We're getting a few. And then what I want everyone else to do is you're also going to go to the Q&A. I want you to upvote any of the questions that you would most like to have the answer to. Lena, you got to put that in the Q&A. Not in the chat. Make sure you go to the Q&A for that. Just to point a few things out while the questions are coming in, you can change the order from the oldest first. This is kind of how I would recommend doing it, just so you don't get questions that go unanswered for a very long amount of time. But you can also change that to questions that newer first, and then the most popular ones as well, the ones that have the most upvotes. And so you can organize them on your end. This will not change the order that the students are viewing it in, though. So the students would have the opportunity to change the way that they go about doing them as well. And then also I have some of these questions, I can filter them as well. I can only show the unanswered ones, so as I answer them I can mark them off and they will go away just to keep myself organized. And you can go back to the questions that you have answered to check on them, and then if you need to hide any of the questions, then they will be in that spot too. So off topic of Google, sorry, is there a training for Whiteboard.fi? There's not a training for Whiteboard.fi, but I'm going to put that on my list as something that we can check out for future Wednesdays. I'm not sure what we have on the docket for next week, but it is something. But I do recommend just going to check it out. Just start it and see what you can come up with. But we will put that on our list to check out. So I'm going to mark that as answered. Now you'll notice that whenever I mark that as answered, it does stay at the top because I don't have any filter of any kind set up. So I'm going to go ahead and change this filter to questions that are unanswered. And now I have the opportunity to really clear out my questions. So Lisa asked, can you force kids to a breakout room, or do they have to click join? They have to click join, and we will get to that, but they do have to click join. You can see along the way whether or not they've joined, but they do have to actually click that. Do you have a resource file for other better tools? No, and that other than just the Cabin Crusade has all the tools that are available. But I'm going to put this as something that we should put together. So resource file for better tools. We try not to branch out too far from the tools that are available, the tools that the district is promoting. So we try, Cami, we try to kind of push that because if you can do that, you can do a lot of things, and we try to kind of do the same thing with Google Docs and not bring in a million different tools, and we're kind of chasing our tail on what we can learn. But there are certain things like Google, like the Whiteboard.fi that really Google doesn't have anything that comes close to it. So that's why we haven't done too much on that. I just want to point this out. I made this, I answered this, and I put a check mark next to it, but it did not go unanswered. So I don't know if that's a bug or if I just have to click unanswered each time. I'm not sure. So that's interesting. Yeah, it's not doing it automatically there. That's unfortunate. Have I used the breakout rooms yet? I have, and of course I don't have a classroom, so I use it in a different way. Do I like tacos? See, that's a great question. But just to show something, I am going to go ahead and hide that question. I love tacos. I kind of look like someone who isn't going to turn down food at any point, right? But I'm going to go ahead and hide that question just because it's a good opportunity to do that. So as I hide that question, Brenda, you will still have that question that appears on your Q&A. You'll still be able to see it, and you'll still be able to know that it was addressed in a way that maybe you didn't like, or something like that, but it didn't just go away. Everyone else, though, that question did go away for them. So those questions have completely, it was like it was never asked. Okay. The best place in the world to get tacos, I know you didn't ask this, but I'm going to answer it, it used to be a taco truck. They've now actually built a building. It's in Las Cruces. What street is it on? Oh, dang it. It's where the two main roads kind of split. Anyways, it's the best place on the planet if you are a taco fan. So thanks for the person that asked that, Brenda. I appreciate it. Do you have to register for Whiteboard FI? It is completely free, and you just get a code. You don't have to sign in any way. It's a beautiful tool in that sense that there's no privacy issues that come along, because they don't even ask for your they don't ask for any permissions along the way. They don't ask for location. They don't ask for name, sign in, nothing. All right, so how do you add a student to a breakout room if they join the Google Meet after it started? We will go over that, and I've already had them join the other rooms, so I'm going to go over that one, Cheryl. In a breakout room, if a child is doing inappropriate, how will I know? Good question. That is absolutely a flaw in that, I mean, you put people in different rooms. I mean, it's like putting them in different rooms in a school. And if they're not unattended in that room, there's not going to be much you can do. And so I know that's an issue that needs to be addressed as far as whether or not these breakout rooms are appropriate for certain grade levels or whether they're not. That's not a question that I have the answer to, though. Are we going to see the class list that appears every time after a Google Meet if we can named before we leave the Meet? If we can, am I correct, Brenda, that you're asking the attendance sheet that gets sent afterwards? Am I correct about that?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll get to the attendance here in 1 second, but I don't want to forget this question. And so there is you'll get sent an email after every single Google Meet that has more than 5 participants, and I believe it's you and 4 more that would trigger that. So if you have a class meeting that's a one-on-one meet, or you're not going to get an attendance sheet for that, or if it's a small group meeting that you only have 3 other kids, then you're not going to get a meet for that. But you will get that coming along the way. Now, it's not going to name it anything special, I don't believe. It names them. If you created a calendar invite, it's going to name it. But for the most part, it's going to put, if you have it on your Google Classroom, for example, it's probably going to put whatever the name of the Meet link was. So like this one, if I didn't have a name to it, it would just say HEDEATH and NKJ. That would be the name of that Meet. It's going to put a time on there. You can name the Meet, but you have to do it in Calendar. I wouldn't recommend that for a variety of reasons. Just because if you name the Meet and put it inside a calendar, that link is actually active even after the Meet is over, and so the kids can go back in there after the fact. And so I wouldn't recommend it for that reason. But you can rename the file after it gets sent to you. You can rename the file and put it inside of your Meet. That way you can identify that Meet for the day. Okay. How do you add a student to a breakout room? Oh no, I did that one. We will be covering that one, Cheryl. Can you record breakout rooms? It does not record automatically. So I'll start off by saying that. We're going to take a look today actually to see if the breakout room gets recorded. That's something that I haven't tried yet. It's just said that you can't record a breakout room. I wonder if that's just because because there's we're going to take a look at it. So I'll just go from there and we'll see. Put a note next to those. Isela, if you have 5 or more people in there, you should be getting those. And if you haven't, then we might need to do some troubleshooting on that. Okay, so this is the Q&A, and it's kind of a great thing because you can really get a better idea of things as they come along on whether or not whether or not you can answer them, whether you need to answer them. I wish it filtered automatically. Apparently it does not. So now I can see that there are a couple questions that have been unanswered along the way. And if I wanted to, if this was coming in a little too quickly, I can go ahead and turn it off and turn it back on later, and it's no problem. Okay, so that's the Q&A feature. If you have any questions from here on out, go ahead and put it in that Q&A box, and we will get to it, okay? And I am making sure that I didn't miss anything here also. That's interesting, Terry, that students on a phone couldn't be put in a room. I've not tried that, so we would have to see what the issue is with that. Okay. All right, so polls are, I'm going to go ahead and start a poll, and I've got to do the New Mexico thing, and so we're going to see where we stand here. This is important questions that need to be answered. Right. So as I make this poll, before I actually launch it, there is an opportunity for me right here to save it. And I just want to kind of clarify, it will save it for as long as this meet is available. So, which isn't long. So if I were to want to do this the night before, there unfortunately wouldn't be a way other than just me staying inside of the meet overnight and not leaving it. Not closing my computer or making the page go away. There's no way to save it and then take it on a future day. What it will do is it will save this until the time that the meet completes. So if you were to put it on there the night before and then close that meet, the meets so that students don't get back inside of them after the fact, they close themselves up. And so if you close up that meet, then those questions that you saved go away. So this is really only a benefit if you have an 8 o'clock meet and you get on it at 7:45 or 7:30 to add your information. That's kind of where the usefulness is. But anyways, red or green, I'm going to go ahead and launch this. And at the bottom of your screen, you're going to get the pop-up that says that there is a new poll, and you can begin adding to it. Now, if you miss this, if the students miss this button, whenever they do it the first time, or whenever you push it out, you do have the opportunity, the students do have the opportunity, I should say, to go ahead and click on that activities button. They would have to manually go there. Go to that activities button, click on polls, and they would be able to see it. So it doesn't, even though it goes away from the bottom right corner as the notification, they can still get there. Now, you can also include the button to show everyone the results. The results will only show after you've answered the question, though. So we are totally New Mexico, aren't we? 10 and 10, like right down the middle. But the results will only show after they've answered the question. So if you haven't answered it, you're not going to know one way or the other how everyone voted. But when you vote, then you'll get the results. But you can also turn those results off, and so that you're kind of left guessing. Brian, I should have added, oh man, I should have added both, right? That would have been the better place to be. So green's pulling away a little bit, and I'm going to leave this open for about 20 more seconds. Now I can create a second poll as we go through here. And so I'm going to say Trump or, I'm just kidding, by the way. I'm not asking that question. Oh no. I had some people's blood pressure rise just looking at me typing that. So we'll say, how about Chromebook or PC? How about that? So this one's probably going to be pretty swayed as well. So Chromebook or PC. Now I could honestly add more here, I don't know what the limit is. I still didn't take a look at see what the limit is there, but you can add as many as you want that I think you can. I haven't found that limit yet. Maybe it's 100 or something like that, but I don't believe so. While I sent that out, I'm going to go ahead and end the red or green poll, and so we see that green is the winner with 18, and then 11 people picked red, and then so everyone can see the results. Again, I can hide those results if I wanted to, but I can push them out as well. There's no names attached to this right now. having said that, you do, after the meet ends, you do get an email that shows the name of everyone that voted, what they voted for, so you get a good picture after the fact of what's going on. Thank you, Brian. So I'm going to go ahead and close up this poll in about 10 seconds. So if you haven't voted the Chromebook or PC, please do so. I'm surprised no one picked I just used my phone. I'm not going to lie. That's a surprise to me. All right, I'm going to go ahead and end that, show everyone the results, send it out. Again, no limit to the polls, no limit to the options in the polls, just fun little things that you can do with your classes as they come through. One thing to note that is if they vote in the poll that's actually attached to their username, they could not vote again inside of that poll. So if they leave the meet and come back in, they still wouldn't be able to vote again. If they open up another tab and have themselves log in again, which is a possibility, they can't vote twice in the poll. So it does keep them separate in that sense. Any questions over polls? Let me go back into our Q&A and see what else has been asked. Let me filter this by unanswered. Can you edit the poll? Good question. You mentioned you should have added both. I don't believe so. I don't believe I can. No, there's no way to edit it. Even after you send it out, let me just put yes or no here. And once you click launch, there is no way to edit this poll in any way, other than you can delete the poll, re-ask the poll. So that was a good question. Okay, so breakout rooms. This is, as I've said, as Diva brought up just a bit ago, there are some limitations with this. This is not something that that you just say like, hey, breakout rooms are here. You're going to be put in one in 5 seconds, ready, go. Ground rules have to be established. Norms have to be established. The kids have to know, you know, and if it's not for your class for a while, it might not be for your class for a while. But I'll go ahead and just go ahead and just kind of show you how it runs. We have this in the main call. It breaks it up into how many ever rooms you want. So you can have up to 100 rooms. So if I just put 2 rooms here as an example, it's going to put a lot of people in breakout room 1, and it's going to put it's going to try to put an equal amount of people in breakout room 2. So you can see we have 22 and 22. So it does that for you. And if I click shuffle, it's going to flip who is in those meets, but it's still going to make sure that 22, that it keeps it pretty close to being the same. Now, you can add yourself into any of the meets. It's going to keep you inside the main call, but it's going to put everyone else inside of a different meet. And you can just completely clear it out to put everyone in the main call and then drag people. So maybe I want Shay to be in group 1 and I want Terry to be in group 2, and you can do it all manually. You don't even have to write. So let's say if I want to put Melissa, I can start typing her name and it will appear there as well. I can also name the groups. So the way I did this in my video, and it kind of makes sense, is maybe you have a 5-question quiz and you make 5 different groups. In fact, we'll do that. Maybe you have a 5-question quiz and you want each meet to answer one of the questions. So for question 1, question 2, and so forth. That way, whenever they hop inside that meet, they know what questions they should be talking about whenever they get inside of there, and so forth. Okay. Now, you can see a few things along the way. So you can see anyone who has grayed out has left. And so these people just got tired of listening to me and they've taken off for the day. I don't blame them one bit. But you can see pretty quickly who is still inside of your meet just by doing that. So I'm going to go ahead and shuffle these rooms, and you'll notice that it does put people who have left. It is still put them inside of the room. So this shows 9 people, but 3 of them aren't actually inside of our meet anymore. So you kind of have to be careful about that, because you might get a group like this one that really only has 3 people inside of it. And so what you can do is, for example, sorry, Crystal, I can exit you out right there, and it's going to put her back on the main call. But by doing that to each one of the individuals who had to leave early, then at least I have a better understanding of how many people are still in that group. So I can see that I probably need to move, let's see, some of these 9 into here and into here, and quite a few into this group. So there is a little bit of manual work that comes along this if you want it to be absolutely perfect. If you don't care as much, if you just think we'll put them in the meet and we'll work from there, that's okay, because as soon as I click open rooms, you're going to get the opportunity to go there. Now, Cheryl had the question, can I put someone in there halfway through? So I'm going to click open rooms, but I don't want you to join the room yet. So I'm going to click open rooms, and you're going to get a pop-up that says breakout rooms are in session. If I change my mind, or if someone comes in later, then I can click edit room and make that change. So, oh, you know what, Bobby, I meant to put you in question 2 instead. And whenever I click save, everyone's link doesn't change except for the person that I moved. So I'm going to go ahead and let's actually go ahead and go to those rooms. And whenever you get there, I want you to talk about whether you're red or green, what the best red or green place is in town or around the area. So go ahead and head to those breakout rooms, and I'm going to pop into each one of them. All right, everyone. I am sorry I never made it to breakout room 4. Actually, I see one person in there now, so I'm gonna go ahead and just click the close the group button right here, close rooms, and I will apologize to Eva who was still in there just waiting for me. Poor thing. Welcome back, everyone. I did not make my way over to the last breakout group, and I apologize. So because whenever I looked over there, there was no one else. It didn't look like there was anyone else inside of the meet. So I apologize if I didn't make my way all the way around. For the most part, I just wanted to go around and let me share my screen one more time to show that when I was inside of each one of the meets, if I clicked on the 3 dots, the record button was not there anymore. So there is no way to record different breakout room sessions. So just something to keep in mind. What was happening is the main breakout room just continued to record. And so even if there was no one in here, then the breakout room was being recorded with no one inside. But I shouldn't say the main room was being recorded with no one inside. The breakout rooms were not being recorded. I kind of pointed this out to one of the last groups is the more breakout rooms you have, I mean, that took like at least 10 minutes for me to make my way through these 5 different groups. The more breakout rooms you have, the longer those kids are going to be unsupervised inside of that room. So you might want to tend to lean towards smaller or less but bigger groups so that you can bounce between them a little bit more quickly. Diva had pointed out that she had heard from a teacher that they could put themselves inside of the meet multiple times and kind of even so that they weren't really looking into anything, and you could still do it while looking in there. I guess, but you could turn off your camera, turn off your mic, and open up different tabs. And so I can open up a different tab and join this meet a second time. And I could do the same thing and join the meet a third time, and I could join the meet a fourth time. But I can tell you, being in here, it's so distracting. I'm sorry. Being in there, you can't stop yourself from being heard the multiple times. So you're just going to have all sorts of kids talking at once, and whoever's talking. If you're talking more than once, or if you're talking, then it's going to pick it up for every single other person that's in there. So it's just kind of something to keep in mind. But there you go. So these are the breakout rooms. Again, if I wanted to, and for those that didn't see it, halfway through the meet, if I wanted to shuffle without closing the breakout room, having everyone come back, but if I wanted everyone to be in a breakout room, me shuffle it while you're inside and then send you to a different breakout room, I could do that, and it's no problem. And so it's just the manner of setting them, dragging, from one group to the other where you want those people to go. I'm going to check the Q&A. I saw something come across on chat too. Yes, I can, Luce. Going over to the Q&A here. How do you add a student to breakout room if they join a Google Meet after it is already joined? Did I answer that for you, Cheryl? Perfect, thank you. And then Isela, if you haven't received those attendance sheets, I'm going to check on that. That's why I left it there. I'm going to make sure that your name is correct. But let me know if your meets have been more than five.
They have. I've had about 16 kids this week.
So I will take a look at that, and so I'll get with you. Can you give me a date of when one might have happened?
Yesterday at 9.
Okay.
And then Monday at 9.
Perfect. I'll check on those and see on my side to see why who that might have gone to instead, or whatever the case was. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. So so that's the Q&A. Looking over at the polls, we finished all the polls. I'm just taking a look at my notes to see if there was anything that I left unanswered that I wanted to talk about. I don't see anything. So, are there any questions? I've got 3 minutes left, so no one can leave yet. I'm kidding, of course. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask now. I hope this was helpful for you to see what the students can see along the way. And then I hope I showed you enough on the teacher side of what it looks like as well. I think the only caution that I have is you really have to have your kids on the same page as you as far as you know, the citizenship angles of it. You know, I would be hard pressed to do too much of this, you know, coming from the middle school, where they don't always have the best common sense sometimes, you know. And I think that the younger you go, the less worry you have on some of those things are. The higher you go, the more worry there is. And I know that every class is different, but you don't want to put yourself in too bad of a predicament if a kid does something and you were just completely unaware of it. So it's just something to keep in mind with breakout rooms. You can't be everywhere at once. And so it's just something to consider. So you might even bring it up to your principal first to kind of get any ideas on whether or not this is, I'm not going to say allowed to do or anything like that, but just tips on you know, how breakout rooms might work better. And I think this would be a conversation for not just us in this meet to have with each other, but really as a district of what are some common things that we need to keep in mind. So. But anyways, if there's no more questions, I'll go ahead and let you guys take off a whole minute early. Man, I'm just feeling good today, letting you guys do that. But I'm going to stick around for about 5 or 10 more minutes for those of you who still have some questions. So thank you all. If you did not sign into the sign in, I'm going to go ahead and post that inside of chat one more time. And but I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Good rest of the week. All right, Luce, you ready? I see your lips moving, but I don't hear you. I'm sorry.
Okay, can you hear me?
I can, yes, ma'am.
All right. When you download a file and you download it into Google Drive, where do those files go?
Probably inside of your main folder. Depends
so
on
I've looked all over in my main folder and I can't find anything that says downloaded file or.
No, and it's not going to say downloaded file, but are you on a PC or what are you on? On your Chromebook?
Sometimes I'm on a PC, sometimes I'm on my Chromebook.
Yeah, and so if you're on a PC, I'll start with that. If you're on a PC, it's going to go into if you download something, it's going to go into your downloads folder inside of your computer, and that is not connected in any way to your drive. And so
okay, yeah, I figured that out.
And then what you would just need to do if you do want it to appear in your drive is just to open up Drive kind of side by side with the folder on the left and Drive on the right or whatever, and just drag them over. And wherever you drag them, that's where they'll go. Now, if you're on a Chromebook though and you download it, it will go into your Drive. But it really just depends on when it gets or where it gets downloaded as far as which folder it'll be on. There should be an option for you to check it when you download it as far as where it went. But you should also have the opportunity to search for it. So if you know what you saved it as, or if you know what it should have been saved as, you should be able to do a Drive search and it'll bring it up in whatever folder it was located. You can also search by date. Let me share. Okay. Let me share. So if you know the day that you put it on there, then that'll work too. So up here at the top, this is my Drive, and I have my down arrow right here. This gives me the opportunity to search in different ways. So if I know that it was a PDF, I can change this to PDF. If I know that I'm the one that put it in there, I can click the owned by me. And then also the date modify. Well, let's see. yeah, I guess it would be date modified. If you knew a specific date, yeah, if you knew it was today, you can set that to today. But you can also do a custom date range. So, if you knew, man, I did it sometime this week, so I can start it there and end it there, and go ahead and search, and it's going to bring up all the things that are owned by me that I've done in the past week, that I've changed in the past week. So
Okay.
that might help you find what you put in there.
And I can do that, like if I download something from the internet. So if I'm downloading something that I'm going to push out to the kids, that's how I would look for it. Okay, another question for you. If I am grading something in Kami and the kid didn't do good and I want them to redo it. Okay, I'm going to put a 0 and I'm going to return it back to them, right?
You could, yeah.
Now the kids are telling me that when they get it, they can't resend it.
They should be able to. Yeah, they should be able to. And I'm wondering if you leave it blank and return it to them versus putting a 0 in, if that might.
That's what I'm thinking. If I'm doing something wrong there, or if the moment it gets returned, then it can't be resubmitted anymore.
That's not the way it should be, because they should have built it the same. I believe they built it the same way that any document, any Google document. But give me 1 second. Mandy's right here. I'm going to ask her, since she, if you return something to a kid and you want them to do some work on it in Kami, if you do a Google Drive, they can just return it back and do work and then return it back. Can they not do that inside of Kami? They should be able to, right? Yeah, if it was a Kami assignment, they should be able to. So
if it was this is in Google Classroom, huh?
Yep.
So it's a PDF assignment, but they answer it as with Kami.
Yep.
So I can grade it, send it back to them, and they should be able to resubmit it.
They should be able to, because usually, and the reason I say that, I mean, most teachers are honestly annoyed with the fact that they can do it again, right? Because they'll turn it in, the kid will turn it in, and then they'll give them like a 55 on it, for example, and then the kid will turn it back in again. So, and maybe that teacher didn't want them to turn it in again. And so that's always been the question is, well, I don't want them to turn it in again. How do I stop them from doing that? And so that's what's kind of confusing is you're kind of saying, well, no, I do want them to turn it in, and it's not letting them.
Because they're sending me a note on there on the private message. They're sending me a note that says, Ms. Gonzalez, I can't resubmit this assignment. And I'm like, what? But they're in